When discussing presidential history, sometimes it can be tough to pin down what actually happened.
On this President's Day, our Mike Lowe hit the road to wrestle with a little-known part of Abraham Lincoln's biography.
It is a day called President's Day to celebrate the presidents of the United States. And one of those presidents is Abraham Lincoln.
This might sound like a tall tale.
Abraham Lincoln was the tallest president. What? He is the tallest president. He was 6'4"
Bigger than Joe Biden?
Yeah, taller than Joe Biden.
But of all the things we learned about Abraham Lincoln in school,
So today, first grade, we are going to be reading about Abraham Lincoln.
one part of his biography has seemingly been erased, or at least overshadowed by Honest Abe's long list of achievements.
He ended slavery. And he was on some pennies and some cash.
Abe's honest words.
In Katie Arbuckle's class at Mitchell Elementary School in Chicago's Westtown neighborhood, first graders are learning about why Lincoln has become a powerful symbol of unity.
That could have brought people together. He was a president who brought two separate, a seceded part of our country together with the Union.
And because he was the leader who saved the country, he became an enduring icon.
Beard, tall, lawyer, top hat.
In fact, his words still echo on the streets of Chicago.
To sin by silence when they should protest makes cowards of men. Abraham Lincoln.
His furrowed brow and deep-set eyes, that lean, leather-tough face, still gazing upon us, seemingly everywhere.
He's iconic. He's just an amazing president.
From murals to money,
So he's on the penny.
schools to streets, and from Lincoln logs to license plates.
The slogan, Land of Lincoln.
There's just a lot there that is so iconic that I think his the stovepipe hat, like all of that stuff is just like, it's almost become like a lore within our society and our history books of him. He's like almost bigger than life.
Now to that tall tale.
One thing that I didn't know about Lincoln is that he was a champion wrestler.
I actually knew that. I did. I mean, yeah, well, I was actually talking to my husband about this. He's like, he was a wrestler. He's a good wrestler. I was like, oh yeah. Okay. I like went down a wormhole of like researching him.
Youthful Lincoln is almost always portrayed reading, and we've come to see older Lincoln as an intellectual, a man of peace, more bookish than brawling. But the Lincoln legend is that the frontier-born future president was one of the nation's greatest wrestlers.
A champion wrestler.
What do you think about that?
I had no idea.
There are images showing a towering, muscular Lincoln with a clenched fist, ready to fight, locked in competition with other men. Even a Classics Illustrated issue portraying Lincoln as almost a superhero, recalling of a dispute that it was settled by a wrestling match, frontier style. Lincoln's opponent, L.D. Thompson, was a man of great strength and some skill. In another panel, Abraham Lincoln excelled at this backwoods game. It was said that over a dozen years from his early 20s into his 30s, while wrestling at county fairs and other competitions, he amassed a record of 300 victories and only one defeat. And that's why our story takes us to Stillwater, Oklahoma, home of the National Wrestling Hall of Fame.
Abraham Lincoln is an outstanding American that was selected in the Hall of Fame.
The Hall's executive director, Leroy Smith, says Lincoln was inducted into the Hall because of his achievements in wrestling.
Gave me the nickname the Rail Splitter.
And in politics.
We like to say wrestling is life, and he wrestled with life.
Wrestling has been among the most grueling sports to test strength and skill since the ancient Greeks invented it. And so we went back to Evanston to ask modern wrestlers.
Ready, go!
About the Lincoln legend.
I think a lot of people know about it that are in wrestling. Usually, like, wrestlers like to know who other wrestlers are.
It resonates on the wrestling mats at Northwestern University, where unity is a theme. And head coach Matt Stornolio,
get through your finish,
says the values of the sport,
bounce up, man number 2,
may have helped prepare the 16th president for the nation's most costly struggle, the Civil War.
I think wrestling teaches people a lot of things. It teaches independence, confidence, hard work, discipline. I think it's a a rare sport. I think that you could see a lot of ways that wrestling could have influenced Abraham Lincoln.
But how much of the Lincoln legend is true? For that answer, we headed to Springfield, where we met with one of the nation's foremost Lincoln historians at the Abraham Lincoln Presidential Library and Museum.
One of the things about Lincoln that's really interesting, an obscure corner of the Lincoln story, is he was a really good wrestler.
Dr. Christian McWhirter says much of it is myth.
One common claim is that Lincoln only lost one out of, I want to say it's like 300 or 500 matches. All these stories are out there. There's not a lot of evidence for a lot of them.
But there is one documented and verified wrestling match that happened shortly after Lincoln moved to New Salem, Illinois, and started working at a general store.
Lincoln's, he's a rail splitter, right? He's a rough and tumble, sinewy frontier guy, and there's a group of local toughs called the Clary's Grove Boys. And the guy Lincoln works for, a guy named Denton Offutt, bets another guy that Lincoln can take on the toughest of the Clary's Grove Boys in a wrestling match.
The opponent was Jack Armstrong, the most feared wrestler on the frontier.
It's a big event, everyone in town, it's a small town, they all gather together to watch, and Lincoln has this big wrestling match with Armstrong.
The match went on, and it got rougher and rougher.
Near the end of it, Armstrong uses basically what today we'd call an illegal move.
Eventually, Lincoln got the best of him and pinned him.
And then it kind of breaks down and turns into kind of a brouhaha. But it's enough that it proves Lincoln is, can hold his own against these guys.
And perhaps that's why the somewhat tall tale about a tall young wrestler is essential. It reminds us that the icon was a real person who struggled and fought just like we do.
That's a good point, because Lincoln, Lincoln has been really enshrined now, right? Like when you think about Lincoln, you think of him as a monument, right? We usually think of statues of Lincoln or the photographs of him where he's, wearing the suit or he's got the hat and he looks very stately. Lincoln was a human being, right? It's a good way to get at his humanity.
Something for teachers to grapple with.
And when he did that, was he showing equality and that the country wanted to grow?
As we continue to learn about Lincoln, who still stands tall as a symbol of unity and struggle this President's Day.
It shows you that he was a fighter, right?
That you're tenacious. Like, I think in order to make it through that situation, the Civil War and everything going on, you kind of have to have that attitude, and you have to be persistent and persevere through all of that.
In Chicago, Mike Lowe, WGN News.
And if you don't know, now you know. Leave it to Mike Lowe to educate us all.
Absolutely.